What's cooking, Juventus fans? Welcome back to your old lady's favorite YouTube channel. Now, we have finally completed the Mercado. The Summer Mercado 2022 is done. We have the squad. We move forward. It's time for some ball. Let's talk about it. Let's preview what's going on against Fiorentina. Ciao ragazzi, welcome back to the Bianconerizone. My name is Justin Sofer, and today it is Friday, September 2nd, 2022, and I've got your rundown of all things Juventus. Today we are covering the Max Allegri presser, as well as some of the other intricacies that go along with what this team has and what they're going to move forward with in the Serie A, how they compete. We'll do that. Okay, before we do anything though, smash that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell icon to stay notified for all of our latest videos. Let's get into it. All right, the very first comments that Max Allegri had to say was about the Mercado. The Mercado wrapped. Regardless of how you feel about the Mercado, I've seen people praising Arriva Bene and Cherubini. I've seen people frustrated with the moves that were made and frustrated with the lack of exciting gets. You know where I sit on this, right? You know where I sit. I'm probably a little bit more on the fence. I'm in the middle. I understand the moves that were made. Are they exciting and great? We'll see. I think there's some overpraise for some of the players that Juventus got, but I think some of it makes sense. You get Allegri the pieces he needs, the pieces that he demanded. He got his Paredes, he got his Kostic. We move forward. We move forward, and hopefully he can be successful with those pieces. But let's go into this. What did he have to say about the Mercado? Well, Max Allegri says the club did a great job in the Mercado. Talk about the most non-committal response or answer to a question or a statement about the Mercado. For Max Allegri, just to say that statement. But it's the most Max Allegri thing to do, right? This whole time, say, I don't really speak about the Mercado. I don't handle the Mercado. It's not my doing. I don't have my hands or my fingers in it. It's all Arriva Bene, Cherubini, the management. Even though we know from day one when he was signed on to come back to Juventus that he was supposed to, quote unquote, have an active role in the Mercado, and then he comes out with this. Like, you couldn't give a better statement after that. He goes on and talks a little bit more about it, but really, that's just really. All right, let's continue on, though. He talks about the addition of Leandro Paredes, a player that he wanted. He wanted his regista. He got his man. Max Allegri said Paredes arrived with great enthusiasm. He increases the quality of our midfield. Now, this is a player that obviously I've not been super hyped on, a player that I'm not really excited about, but I've come around a little bit on him. Hey, Juve do better when they have a good regista. Not only is his addition better for Allegri, gives him what he wants, but it's also better for my guy Manuel Locatelli. We've seen Manuel Locatelli over recent games, recent months, going in last season. He has struggled because they've tried to use him as a regista, and that's just not his place of emphasis. That's not where he needs to be. Now, let's let him open up his game a little bit. Paredes can help with that. There were some options that I would have preferred. I've mentioned a little bit in the live streams. I'll talk about that here a little bit later in the video. But having Leandro Paredes should really help that midfield, so we'll see what they do moving forward. This Fiorentina match, we'll see if the very first game that he's here for, they actually give him some playing time. I'm kind of hoping they do, but it could be an interesting one to really see what he can bring to the table. All right, we continue on. He talks about an outgoing player, and that of Zakaria. He says that Zakaria, there was this opportunity. He was feeling a bit at the margin, and with great enthusiasm, he accepted Chelsea. I wish him and Artur the best of luck. It was a good deal. It was a good deal made, and as long as, again, the Zakaria situation, the way it irks me a little bit is that there's no obligation for Chelsea to purchase Zakaria. I have a feeling, though, I think Zakaria, I think he's a solid player. There's a little bit not a trepidation, but a little bit from me, disappointment seeing him go, because I think he had a possibility, but I completely understand the move, and I was pushing for the move because I understand. I don't know if he can get back to his capability of what we saw in Game 1 or Game 2 before he got injured. Obviously, he's been here for 6 months. He's been here for 6 months, so we'll see what he can get back to. But if Juve can complete this deal, and that obviously pulls on to next year, whenever the obligation, I think it's a 1-year loan, whenever the loan ends, and they purchase him, that's a great deal. You bought the player for what, 6 million, maybe even a little bit less than that, depends, around 6 million euros, and then you can sell him for potentially 35. That's including the loan and all that. I'm here for it. So good business by Juventus in that situation. Definitely good to make a profit there and help empty out. So one of the things we're not talking about too is that potentially the loan of him going out, as well as a couple other players, if they end up getting sold and people hold on to their obligation option, whatever it is, that can help clear out some payment room for next season when you got to pay, Manuel Locatelli, all the other loans and stuff that you got to pay out on. And then you might actually see some real movement, real Mercado movement, not, the Dollar General option. So in the next summer Mercado, of course. All right. You talked about Arthur, wish him the best as well. Yeah, Arthur going to Liverpool. Good for him. Okay. We got him off the books. That's nice. All right, let's continue on. Talk about the youngsters, though. Max Allegri had a comment on them saying at the beginning of the market, we all had a goal to keep together. To keep young players so they can play. You see Minetti. I'm glad Fagioli stayed. There are Gatti and Moise Kean. What a comment, right? What a comment to say. You see Minetti, like you saw him yesterday. He was balling out. I'm glad Fagioli stayed. I liked Fagioli. There are Gatti and Moise Kean. I mean, Gatti should not fall on that line, but this is the way he said, there are Gatti and Moise Kean. Moise is calm and has been training well. I understand he's been training well, or at least he's in great physical fitness. I'm not seeing game shape fitness. And when I mean, or not fitness, but game shape, he's not good on the pitch. That's what I'm saying. That's great. You have a six-pack and you're good to go, and you're toned up. I don't care about that. Again, I know people there, and Weston McKinney's not a good example right now because he's not playing well. And he's a player that should move out as well. But I don't care. There's some guys that have a little bit of a pooch, but they're playing well. McKinney's not a good example, I know. But what I'm saying is that's great. Moise Kean's in great shape. Doesn't mean anything if you're playing like crap. So we'll see what happens with Moise Kean. Hopefully he can continue to develop and be better because they're going to need him in spots this season. Milik, Di Maria, that there's going to be injuries around Juventus. It happens. J-Medical. It is the curse. But Gatti's another one. Is Gatti young? I don't have it in front of me. How young is he? He's not that young, though. He's like mid-20s, right? So he's not like young. He's not a young player. He's young when it comes to his football career from just a few seasons. It is kind of a miraculous jump. I remember when we first brought him in, we kind of broke down Gatti a little bit saying, why we think this player just now went from City B to City A. Well, it's because he was a bricklayer just a couple seasons ago. He went from like literally laying bricks as his career to playing soccer professionally. Hell yeah. I love this guy, and I love the tenacity, the vision, the everything he does on the pitch defensively. I'm excited about it. I hope he continues to develop, and I hope he continues to be a big piece, not only for Juventus, but also for the Italian national team. Let's continue on, though. He goes and talks about the injuries. Max Allegri says that Bonucci's doing well, but I need to see if I let him play tomorrow or against PSG. Di Maria is not 100%, but he is doing better. Rabiot will be out for tomorrow due to a knock taken on Wednesday. What? Rabiot? Rabiot's injured? What? Like he actually got injured? It's possible? It's possible for him to miss a game? We'll see. Maybe Max Allegri will still get him out there like on stilts or something like that. Get him on crutches, and he'll still let him play. We'll see. But anyway, it's shocking because Rabiot's the one guy who never gets hurt. I was taken aback, if you will. Hopefully he gets better. Good swift recovery to both him and then Di Maria to get back to 100%, obviously. Don't want to have anybody injured on the team, regardless of your feelings on them. Even Alexandro, guys. Szczesny, the recovery time, we don't know. When you have such a strong sprain, you evaluate from day to day. It's good to see that it is a sprain. I know sprains can last a long time. I underestimated a sprain until I got one. Like, you always see like collegiate or professional players getting, you hear about a sprain. I'm like, oh, he's good. Just go walk it out there. Until the day I got a sprain. Like we talked about it previously on a video. I was out drinking and it happened. And I was like, oh, this is no joke. This is no joke. My leg, my ankle swole up to like this size, and then trying to drive 3 hours back home. Not fun. Not fun. All right, let's continue. And then let's actually get to Fiorentina. Let's talk about Fiorentina with Max Allegri. And this is, I don't know what your opinion will be on this, but here's what his comments and what he had to say. He said, tomorrow's game is not the most important. It is the most difficult one. It will be a complicated match, and it will be important for us to get a result. So it's a weird positioning by Max Allegri here, going into it, saying that it's not the most important. I don't really like him downplaying this match. I don't like him downplaying a poor result. That's what I take from this. I take it as Max Allegri kind of downplaying it, trying to kind of angle a little bit to say, guys, it's not an important game. If we drop points, it's okay. That's not okay. Not this early in the season. You have all cylinders clicking right now. I understand there's injuries out there, but Fiorentina, you cannot risk dropping points. It is a likelihood because we've noticed in recent past, it's either Juve are good against Fiorentina or they get buried. They get buried by 3 goals. It's happened multiple times in the last few seasons. He goes on to say it's a complicated match and it'll be important for us to get a result. So he at least says that, but I just don't like the angling, the positioning, like trying to soften the blow. But it's also weird they say it's the most difficult one. Like, it's either difficult or it's not important. Which is it? If it's not important, then it shouldn't be difficult. Any match that's difficult should be important. But I get what he's doing. I get what he's trying to do here. And then after that, he also talked about resting players. And this is where I want to get into the last little thought and commentary on this match going into it. We're going to have, obviously, pre-game coverage and all of that later today. A little preview. Julian and Alejandro will be taking care of that, taking you into the match for tomorrow. Max Allegri says, Dusan getting a rest. I will decide later on. We now have to think about giving continuity of results to find solidity in both offensive and defensive phases. So he said a whole lot of nothing there. That's great. The reason I bring this up, though, because he's talking about Dusan possibly getting a rest. Well, Romeo Guidetti tweets out a probable formation for the Fiorentina match tomorrow. Hear me out. All right, here's what he put, and here are the names that he has out there. First up, obviously, Panini in goal, and then you're going to have D'Acilio, Danilo, Bremer, and Alexandro. This isn't even the main topic of this, but that back line, like, I'm sorry. Do we really need to have Danilo playing as a center back? Can Gatti not do it? Is Gatti not fine? I thought he did perfectly fine. I even forgot he was playing. That's good. When I forget about a center back playing, that means that he didn't have to do a lot to stop them, but at the same time, it means he did his job. So instead of Gatti, you got Danilo and Bremer and Alexandro. So you got the Brazilian squad, and then you got D'Acilio. Let's move forward, and then in the midfield, you could potentially have Weston McKennie, Paredes, and Locatelli. That's an interesting one. We'll see if maybe Weston McKennie can have a little bit of a bounce back compared to his first 2 games. I think this would be a perfect opportunity for him to go out there, get a goal, and maybe get some goodwill back with the fan base that has quickly turned on him. It's shocking to me almost how quickly the fan base has turned on Weston McKennie from love and adulation and adoration to get him out of here. We hate Weston McKennie. Stop eating all the Burger King's fatty. That kind of commentary, that kind of stuff. I guess it's kind of like me on the channel, right? Anyway, Paredes, I am very interested to see him playing as a regista and what he will bring to the club. If he has a good thing going, and he can definitely sling that thing a little bit, if you know what I'm saying, but then also to help Locatelli to set up some good things. I'm excited about that with Locatelli by his side. Then we move into the attack, and we're looking at Di Maria, Milik, and Kostic. Di Maria, obviously, hopefully he's healthy and hopefully he's good. This would be an interesting balance to see him and Kostic together and what they can do. Then Milik obviously had that score last game. A little bit interesting, though. My main point of worry, I guess, is just the easiest way to say. Obviously, Milik starting in front of Dusan Vlahovic. And then, of course, in the midfield, not starting Miretti again after he had last game. Here's the interesting thing to me about Miretti. You could argue last game was not his best game. You could argue that he made plenty of mistakes. One of the things that I noticed about Miretti, obviously, there were a couple times that he went against a couple of men and lost possession, bad passes here and there. But Miretti was the reason you won that game. Miretti, you do not score either of those goals without Miretti and what he's doing. Like I said, he has more heart and he has more determination than anybody else on that pitch. First off, that first goal, obviously, it was a banger, the free kick from Dusan Vlahovic. But that does not even happen if it's not for Miretti and his wherewithal to not let that possession be lost. He was getting bullied. He was getting a couple times where everybody else would have collapsed and would have lost possession. He fought back for the ball, corralled it, and then went for the attack. And that's where, obviously, he was fouled when he was ganged up on like 3 guys at one time. Save that for a mixtape. Anyway, and then as he moved on, he was able to get that free kick. And then at the very end of the game, obviously delivering a beautiful, beautiful ball. It had that vision and have the ability to sneak it in there and deliver that to Milik, where Milik just had to turn around and tuck it away. Good stuff from Miretti. I think even on a bad day, Miretti is game-changing. So it's a little bit disappointing to see Minetti be pulled from the starting lineup here, even though I've been like obviously one of the few people that have been fighting for McKinney, I guess. And I guess I wouldn't say I'm fighting for him, because if we were to sell him, I'd be more than okay with it. But I'd just say at least not completely turning on him. But I think you should have given Minetti that start. I think I would have loved to see Minetti, Paredes, Locatelli. That's it for me. I'd be good to go with that one. And then also not having Dusan Vlahovic out there after he had 2 beautiful free kicks in a row. You don't want to keep that up. You want to see if we can go 3 in a row. He may get some playing time later, but obviously it's a situation where it kind of surprises me that you're going to give him a little bit of a rest there instead of actually using him in a game that I think is not so easily won. Fiorentina is definitely... they've given Juve some hiccups in the past. So that's my thoughts. What do you think about that potential lineup if Allegri decides to go with that? Are you okay with resting or benching at least Dusan Vlahovic and Fabio Minetti? Or would you rather give these guys a chance that he's going to maybe come out there with and see if they can do some things on their own? Let me know that in the comment section down below. That'll do it for this edition of the Daily News and, of course, the Presser Watch. Let me know your thoughts on everything that we talked about today. If you haven't already, do me a favor, smash that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell icon to stay notified for all of our latest videos. I'll see you guys next time. Forza Juve, Forza Bianconeri. Say hello to your old lady for me.